Welcome to the first of our summer series on the lifelong learning series. As you know, the purpose of this is the title is self-explanatory, right? Is that every one of you has some need for lifelong learning. We all do. And so this is a way to help you with that. The topics that we're going to cover this summer are actually recommended by we have an advisory board of prior members that participate in this, and they give us these ideas. So today, we're going to talk about accounting for people, the real bottom line, and I'm not going to take Dawn's thunder on that. The next item was really, you see the title of it here, and this is going to be provided by E&Y out of their fraud practice, but it's really from a corporate perspective, okay? One of the things the advisory board wants to talk about is what should we really be worried about today from a security and crime perspective, cybersecurity, and all those types of things. So they're going to give it from your lens and that perspective. And we, how could we possibly have a summer series without involving our own Nathan Golden, which is on today as well. And he's got the easy task of telling us what our tax is going to look like in the future. Not much going on there. I'm sure he can find something else to talk about. We just hope it's settled down enough by July that he can have a picture of what that there. But we're looking for our own faculty there to be able to talk about with that. So if you can go to the next slide, Vanessa, on that. And so, but also ask everyone to make sure you put the summit, our all-day summit on September the 26th on your calendar. We're really excited putting that program together. These are a couple of teasers. As you know, we'll have more than this out here. But the first teaser is we're going to have a panel that's going to be moderated by own Kathy Crossick. Where we have social impact entrepreneurs telling you about their journey and that. And I'll just give you a hint. It may involve a little coffee. Okay, if that helps you understanding what one of those social impact entrepreneurs are. As a matter of fact, she's such an entrepreneur, she may buy coffee for you guys. So if you come, you're going to get a bag of coffee because that's what a great entrepreneur that she is and selling on that perspective. We're going to talk about AI from, again, a corporate perspective. What should you really be thinking about or worrying about in the day of AI? And the unstanding favorite is the ethics. For those that need ethics for keep your license, we will have that at the end of the day for with that. So you can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is CPE eligible. So just to remind you, I think everybody remembers it, but just to remind everybody, it's based on your actual attendance today. We will track and document your attendance with that. We will be having some knowledge checks during the period of time, which you do need to connect on with those perspectives. And you need to be here the whole time to get full credit for that. If you leave early or come late, whatever it may be, you will get partial credit based on the time that you are here. So with that, I'm going to introduce our speakers. So we can go to the next slide, Vanessa. So we're very pleased today actually to have an NC State alum. Class of, I'll say this, Dawn, I hope you don't mind. Class of 92 and class of 94.
You're supposed to mumble through that.
Okay, very quickly, but anyway, really great to have Dawn here when the advisory council was talking about wanting some that could talk about hybrid work and working across generations and how do you manage up. Dawn clearly came to mind. Dawn is a leadership expert, executive coach, and founder of DPS Global Consulting Practice. So with that, I'm going to get out of the way and turn the day over to Dawn. So Dawn, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, hey, welcome everyone. As he said, I'm a Wolfpack alum, and I'm going to get to know you guys through the program. I am wanting to make sure I need some thumbs up to see if you can see my slides. The hardest part is always just the tech stuff for me, so bear with me. I have a psychology degree. I'm going to mock myself, so tech's not my greatest. But yeah, I have an undergrad degree in psychology and a grad degree from our very own NC State University. So I'd love to get to know some of you in the class, either through audio, but we're going to start with chat. I want this to be an interactive session, so we're going to use chat a lot. So to warm us up in chat, I'd love to get to know who you are. So just put your first name and any years of experience as a people manager. Years of experience as a people manager. I know we have some faculty. If you supervise, manage people, you could list that. If you don't, just say individual contributor. I just want to know who I'm with. 20 years. Awesome, Maggie. We're going to draw you in. Call you in too, Rebecca. Awesome. And things are different too. So that's great. So we've got faculty Kathy, Katie, 10, 10, 8. Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Yeah. Perfect. So 7, this is perfect. 15 years managing, 25. Travis, welcome everyone. Perfection, everyone. So I'm excited to work with you. And what I love that we have a broad range of experience here. And for those that have managed for 20 years, much like me, it's different. It is different. A hybrid world is different. It's not better or worse. We can put the judgment on ourselves, but we could talk through that. So welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Individual contributors, managers, everybody. So here's the picture. Super fan with my foam finger. I have, in addition to my rabid fanness of NC State, I have worked in corporate America for over 25 years. And in 2015, I left corporate America to start my own organization focused on 2 things: strengthening leaders and energizing teams. And that would be my hope for today, is that you get one nugget, hopefully more. We're NC State, we want more, but one nugget that you could apply after this session. There will be chances for interaction and questions throughout the program, so don't hold back. The 3 main areas of the program today are hybrid work, managing across generations, and managing up. All different skills that are needed in today's work environment that are different. And the challenges are continuing to evolve with AI and advanced technologies and resources. And so again, I'm giving tools today not for AI. You'll get that at the symposium later this year, the conference. This is about how to work with humans and bring out the best in each person. So the first thing we're going to talk about is unconscious bias. And you're thinking, wait a second, I don't see that there. Wait, unconscious bias? Am I in the right class? Yes, you are, my friends. I have a challenge. I need everybody to put their hands away from the computer and away from pens. We can put our woofies up if you choose to. You don't have to, but we're not going to touch the computer. We're not going to touch the pens. I have a challenge for you. I am going to show you a collage. Your challenge is to try to remember as many images as you can from that collage. It is 10 seconds. And Scott will tell you it goes very fast. So you're not writing them down. You're just trying to do it from memory. Questions? Okay. Here comes the collage. Are you ready? Yes, I need some smiles. Smiles. Smiles are the ticket to the activity. Thank you. Here goes. It goes so fast. Okay, now I'm going to zip it. And I want you to go to chat now. Now that you remember, I want you to chat. And I want you to type as many as you can remember. But don't hit enter. Type them all that you can remember. And I'll tell you when to hit enter. Type as many as you can. Don't hit enter. Be more than 10 seconds on this. See what you can recall. Okay, now you can hit enter. Now I want you to see it. I want you to see what other people put. So hit enter and they're going to start coming in. Okay, we got Instagram, we got Statue of Liberty, Puppy, Apple, we got Statue of Liberty, Fleur de Lis. Nice. Glass of wine, Statue of Liberty, ruins, turkey, dog, Mickey, good. Great Wall. Yep, we saw that. Instagram, track field, good. Wine, dog, good. Statue of Liberty, nice. Dog, ice cream sundae, thank you, good. Sloth, oh, good. Some people don't see the sloth. People, a building, very nice. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this. So some people had 1 or 2, some people had 3, some people had 4. I've got my, who's got the black? Rebecca, are you from Maryland? Where's Rebecca? Where's Rebecca? You come on audio? Are you there? Wait, is she going to tell me in chat? New York. Okay, but you knew your black-eyed Susans. Very nice. So black-eyed Susan is the state flower of Maryland. And as you look at the collage again, see, it's not actually Mickey, it's Minnie. Does anybody see something now that you're like, I had no idea that it was there? You can come on audio. You can nod or, yeah. Anybody get this baby nose sucker thing, this blue one? No? No? Okay. A lot of people saw the Instagram. We've got some chat coming in. Let's see. I did. You did see it. Okay, good. Okay. Kitty, maybe you have a kid or you've not too far away from that. What about this crazy thing underneath the pizza? Does anybody know what that is?
An 8-track.
That's an 8-track, my friends. Yeah. So it's really interesting. I can tell you nobody saw all 29. And did anybody look at the ukulele as a guitar? Some people did, right? Guitar, such a great wall. So, and again, we might have saw the Mickey, but we saw it as Minnie. A lot of times I get, instead of the black-eyed Susans, I get, I get daisies because our mind pattern maps and they think, okay, I think I see some daisies. Or I see the sloth, but I see it as a monkey. I don't know what a black-eyed Susan is, so I don't even see it. So what I can tell you is when we put all of ours together, we see more of the picture, but in 10 seconds, we only saw a part of the frame. And our body from neuroscience is hardwired to make meaning of our life experiences. We are a collection of our lived and learned experiences, a collection of our lived and learned experiences. And this is representative. And so sometimes we flesh out the lacrosse player because we don't know what that is, or the fleur-de-lis, somebody said it, but it goes away because we have no experience with that. Anybody know how many things our mind processes in a second? Nobody wants to make a guess. I'm like, how's it gonna come out? Wait, I got something coming in chat. Yeah, okay, I just gotta guess. E-track. Okay, so our mind processes in our conscious mind 40 pieces of information in a second. And what I gave you was 10, and it's processing all this information and trying to remember something. Our unconscious mind processes what researchers say, I'm not the researcher, I'm a practitioner, about 10 million, which is a little crazy for me, but let's just round up to a lot. Right? We're gonna go with some basic math here. I did take calculus 141, 241, but basic math, we're just rounding up. So why on earth would I put this in this program? Why would I lead with this? I do have a degree in adult education, so I can wait for it. So, okay, cool. Awesome. Yes, how quickly we make up opinions of people and things. Yes. And again, it's based on our lived and learned experiences. And together, we can expand our view, our worldview. We will see traits in people differently based on our experiences, 100%. Rebecca, we'll put a pin on that, especially as it relates to hybrid and managing different generations. Love it. Anything else somebody would want to add to that of why it was really important for me to throw that in as a grounding construct for you? What about the concept of seeing something that doesn't exist there? Again, we saw Mickey, but it was close. It was really Minnie. Why is that important to kind of pull into this metaphorically? Anyone? Sometimes we see things that aren't there. Yeah. Snap judgments don't reflect reality. Yeah. Snap judgments. And so in the immortal words of Ice Cube, sometimes we have to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. So that kind of, we're not responsible for our first thought. We're not responsible for our first thought. It's saw Mickey, not a problem. But like, let's just double check. What am I seeing here? Oh, okay, it's really Minnie. It's no big deal. We are responsible for our second and our first action. And that's just the grounding part of leadership that's really important. Snap judgment. Yep, don't want to do it. So as we get into this, we are getting credit for this program. So we have to do some "we're not a bot" polls. So do you want to put up a "not a bot" poll, Vanessa? And as we put up this poll, your challenge is to think of some tips you have for hybrid work, but just tell me you're still here. Thank you. The 28 people responding. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this actually works out pretty well, because we'll go through some tips. So people all responded, so we're good. I think I didn't respond, so maybe I should, I don't know, maybe. Anyway, so this is kind of an interesting statistic in my mind. 69% of managers say they feel uncomfortable communicating with employees they can't physically see. And this is part because of how they were taught to manage, and it's all that they know. And it's an uncomfortableness. And what I tell you that is part of leading, part of growing is uncomfortable. So there's a lot of talk right now about stress and mental load and all kinds of things. There is an uncomfortableness to it. I don't want you to shy away from it. I want you to go towards it and work through it. It is uncomfortable. And what I want to do is give you some tips to help you get comfortable with it. And so we have a lot of collective intelligence in the program today. And I'd like us to co-create a very powerful tip sheet via chat. Very powerful tip sheet via chat. So I want you to tell me, what are some ways that people break trust? And then we're going to apply it to hybrid world. So go to chat and hit me up with a bunch of ways that people can break your trust, whether you're on the manager or the employee side. Hit me at lying. Thank you. Not showing up. Undependable, lying, not following through, lack of communication. Aren't available. Yep, not following through, not meeting expectations, lying, manipulation, mistreatment. And it's sad, these things happen. I've been working in human resources my whole career. This stuff happens. Patterns of errors, intentional or otherwise, poor work, blaming others. Oh, I hate the blaming others. Thank you for who put that in. Not enough follow through. So these are ways to lose trust really quickly. And what is foundational about leading in a hybrid environment is establishing and sustaining trust. I have worked with managers that cancel one-on-one meetings repeatedly or juggle them. That erodes trust. But I was busy, I had other priorities. Well, when you can't see people, they don't know what you're working on, and it sends a message that they don't matter. So we don't want to erode trust. We need to be transparent. We need to learn from our mistakes, and we need to try to establish a really strong foundation for it. No communication, great. So the other thing I want to know is, I'm going to share a bunch of tips with you, but it's 2025. We've been working in this hybrid space for a while, and we've got some leaders on the call. I want you to tell me, what are some of the things that you have done or seen done that helps you establish trust or helps you work in a hybrid environment? And then I'll share you mine. So tell me some of the things that are your fan favorites. This is the adult learning principle that I learned at NC State. Listen to others, over communicate. Yes. And I think the biggest assumption you want to make about communication is that you haven't communicated enough. Use different channels, do multiple channels, communicate it. Stay on a planned schedule. Followers need stability. They need stability. Communicate and be vulnerable. Yes, you want people to open up to you and follow you when you're not there. Be vulnerable. Set clear expectations and regular communication cadence. Expectations are foundational to employee engagement, so it's critical. On camera for meetings. Blair, if you're willing, why is that so important? Blair, if you're willing to jump on, since you've on camera, you might be willing to say. Thanks, Blair.
Yeah, sorry, I was kind of eating some.
It's lunchtime, so.
Yeah, on camera, I mean, you just put a face with the name. It does establish some type of personal connectivity. is what I've noticed. Dealing with managing folks across the country, it just helps, regardless of what's going on. If they have a ball cap on or whatever, it just helps.
Yeah, it humanizes people and things. And we've seen the humanization of kind of work from home where, you might see a kid, maybe one of mine in the background from time to time, and it humanizes people, but it is that direct connection. And it's exponentially harder to do it when you can't see them. It's a stepping stone for that relation to the point where we can build relations that when we do see each other in person, we feel like we know them really well because we've been really intentional about that camera time. And we need to be really intentional about making time. Thank you. Being vulnerable. Tell me about if the person that said, who said be vulnerable? Maggie, if you're willing, would you want to come on and tell me a little bit more about vulnerability?
Yeah, I think it's easy for people to see leaders as like super people and perfect, and we're not. We make
Mhm.
mistakes and we screw things up, and I think it's important to acknowledge that so that they feel safe to come to you with those things as well.
100% Maggie. And it is important for them to see you make mistakes. It's important to see sometimes in the ball cap, to see your kid come in, to know that you two are juggling their life circumstances, that you may be the leader, but you are human. And that's what this program's about is people and the humanity. Share personal information. Yeah, we'll talk about personal information and find that connection of a like me. We talked about bias in the beginning. There is a like me bias. People are searching for some sort of connection. I even see it with small kids is they'll say, do you ever have trouble sleeping? Did you ever miss the base? Did you ever strike out? Did you ever they want to find some sort of likeness. So I encourage you to find some connection. Our common connection and love, hopefully passion for the pack is always where I start. and, and this is kind of funny. My whole career, I've been talking about the Wolf Pack and I graduated from NC State. And people are like, I know, but hey, it's a connection point. So connect each team member and get to know them personally. And some like cameras and some don't. I get it. And so I can say no judgment for cameras. And then I'd say, hey, in smaller meetings, could we do cameras? Can we try to make time for it sometimes? I try to negotiate on things like that to get them comfortable. And then I might even ask, what is it about cameras that you don't like, and explore it instead of just make a judgment that they're disengaged. Maybe their camera's broken. Maybe there's a cultural issue coming in. Follow up after meetings and discussion, acknowledge email I've sent. Yeah, if any of you have taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment or know that you're a fairly impatient person, if you've taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment, you might have something called activator and you might be impatient. When we lead in a hybrid environment, we sometimes want to know that the ball got caught and that the email is not out in cyberspace, especially if it's an important deadline. So what you want to do is create norms and ground rules about responding to messages when you're a leader, and how does that catching the ball and confirmation work in your dynamic, and what is it that works best for you and what works best for them, and have a conversation about it. When I said my goal in life is to strengthen leaders, energize teams, that goes both ways, is to have that conversation. How are you at your best? If you need to acknowledge it, acknowledge the email and follow up discussion. Awesome. My tips for you that I have seen as critical is, in today's world, we need to level the playing field and make sure that people have shared opportunities and make it comfortable. So what I mean by the leveling the playing field is I teach webinars like this a lot. It's not great to have all of you on camera and video and have 15 people in a classroom at NC State also kind of super small. If we're trying to bring everybody together, I oftentimes say, let's get them all a camera. Or we are really intentional in advance of how we're going to engage that 15 people in the room and the people here, or the one person. How do we really make sure that that one person that's on camera in North Dakota and the 15 people in the room feel level, feel included, not left out? We sometimes, what we've done in my company is when we have a one person that's not there, we assign a buddy to them that's in the room to level the playing field and make sure the North Dakotian has a voice, and that we call that person in and we stop and we make sure that they've had a chance to participate, and vice versa. We plan in advance how we're going to make sure the people that are in the big conference room get their voice, get their say, and are engaged, as well as the people in this forum. As much as I can, I like to have a consistent experience. If we're doing the double up, we have to be mindful in advance. The other thing that I use a lot as play is we're not set in stone. I know that many people in accounting like numbers and they like things to be defined and decisions to be made. I invite you to play with the concept of play and introduce it to your teams. Is the decision doesn't have to be made. We can say, let's give this a go. Let's pilot test it. You want to start working from home, but you haven't in the past. Let's pilot test it under these conditions. Then we revisit the conditions, which is number 2, and the norms, and see how it works out. But we don't have to make a lifelong commitment to this. So the second thing is establish very specific expectations for how you will communicate, what channels you will use, availability expectations, and check-ins. And you do it up front and you co-create it. And the way you co-create it, you may want to write this down, is what I need from you is how I work best. Now tell me what you need from me and how you work best, and we come together on that. But what do I need and how do I work best? What do I need? How do I work best? And we come together on those expectations. And it may mean, by the way that you work, you have core operating hours. You might say between 10, I have a group of people I work with, between 10 and 3, they're available. Outside those hours, they can flex and do what they need. Some people say Tuesdays and Thursdays, we need to be available from 8 to 5. It's the rhythm of your business and the type of work. Some types of work don't have to have any common hours, can work at any hour. You need to co-create it based on what's best for you and how you work best in the other person. The other thing is you need to be consistent. That doesn't mean uniform. There may be circumstances that warrant an exception. And let your people know that we're playing with this, we're trying this. There's circumstances that may not seem fair, but we're giving it a pilot test for this reason. But they need consistency, because just like kids, they will see it and they're like, she had more cake than I did. Anybody have kids? 2 kids, more than 1 kid? Cake, right? So we want to make sure that we're being consistent across the board with our expectations. The last one is to manage to results and not the location. What do I mean by that? I'd love somebody from Come On Audio and tell me what I mean by that. Manage to results, not location.
Dawn, I would assume you mean based on results, not where you do it. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's what you're saying. It's not where you to get it done. That's the fact you get it done.
That you get it done and get less concerned about the where, more concerned about the results and the what they do. And that can be hard, especially, and it's my husband is also an NC State alum and he's an engineer, and it drives him crazy when his young engineers are not in the office. And it's because it's how he works best. And so we have lots of conversations about how we get comfortable with the differences and helping him understand this is be really clear about what's expected, what the goal is, and where the check-ins are. And if they're meeting that, we need to lean into your uncomfortableness, husband. And he's working on it. And it's just not as easy as it was before. What I want you to do is remember to lead with intention, test what works, and build that rhythm together. Know that you can adjust it, but you want to co-create. Expectations are the baseline of employee engagement. When you have clear expectations, that will drive your employee engagement. People want to show up and do a good job. They don't want to do a bad job. So clear expectations is really an intentionality is my big message, my kind of bottom line here. So Any questions on this?
No, and I would assume one of the areas that often comes up with hybrid is you should assume that people are goofing off. So that kind of comes with the territory. So I'm assuming that assumptions, and I think that's why you started where you started with the picture, is be careful of assumptions because you're not seeing people every day. Don't assume what's going on between. So
100%. And so we make a story, or we know that a friend of ours goofs off. Doesn't mean this person goofs off. And if they goof off once, doesn't mean they're going to goof off forever. So don't make the assumptions that they're not doing. Just go back to results, look at behaviors, look at metrics, look at data. Accountants typically are data-oriented people from a stereotype. And so look at the data, look at the trends, see what's happening. Look for more evidence. Your first reaction can be really frustrating and say, I can't get a hold of Dawn. Well, maybe you can't get a hold of her today. Maybe she's sick. Maybe she's at her kid's school. Maybe she's teaching online. But let's look for more data. And is she always unavailable, or is she just unavailable at this time? Don't make assumptions. Don't create stories that don't exist. Clear expectations. Be intentional. Figure out in advance how you're going to communicate, how you're going to partner, that kind of thing. Thanks for doing the second poll. I'm going to go fast so I can have time for overall Q&A at the end. So leading across generations too, this is kind of a little fun question for you to go to chat. I want to know, how often do you communicate with your parents if they are currently living? One of mine is not, but how often do you communicate with your parents? Daily? Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Maggie. About once a month, daily. There's no judgment. There's a reason for this question. Weekly? Yep. Almost daily, weekly. Awesome. So we've got a variety here. And the whole point of this exercise every other day, yeah. So I'm somewhere kind of, it was the once a week because that was the frame, because I am actually a Gen Xer. And so when I went to college at NC State, long distance was super expensive and we didn't have cell phones. So I would talk to my dad and mom on Sundays. Now my sister, who is just 2 years older than me, has grandkids and a daughter, and she talks to that daughter every day. Well, the frame and my lived and learned experiences were, and still are, if you don't hear from me, I'm doing a good job. My niece, if she doesn't hear from my sister daily, she thinks something's up. No news is good news. Yes, Maggie, and our construct, no news after 9 p.m. too. Okay, every other, yeah. So that's constructs, that's lived and learned experiences, that's norms in your routine. That's your life. We need to expand our perspectives to those of the people that we work with. It could be from a generational, it could be from a culture, it could be just a personal preference in terms of how somebody communicates and what meaning they make of it. So we need to be mindful of not to assume because you're Gen X, you only talk to your parents in a certain cadence. The point of illustrating that was we have differences, and it may be because of how we were raised or the time in which we were raised. In my case, the long distance expense came in. But today we have cell phones and texts and a more immediate communication. So I was supervising when I worked for this Fortune 500 company, fresh out of college, two fresh out of college people. And they really wanted to know what I was doing on my weekend. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's very personal. And of course, I always stay at the high level NC State, we're watching NC State sports. But they really wanted to get to know me, and I felt a little uncomfortable about that. Together, we co-created kind of what type of information I would share, when I would share it, would I give them access to my Facebook or Instagram kind of thing? What was I comfortable with? And so, again, it's just different experiences. It's not better or worse. And it's not that the person has to customize to you. We co-create. The best teams, the best partners co-create, and then they recreate when there's a new team member on the team. So you co-create and then you recreate when there's new people on the team with different lived and learned experiences. What I want you to do is we're going to get our collective intelligence going here. And no news is gonna, yeah, that's the same one, is, again, it doesn't matter. It was just an example. I want to know, you tell me, give me your best tips for managing across generations. Best tips. Oh, good thing I had some tips. Stay curious. Yes.
They're typing. They're typing.
That's it. Okay, good. Okay, you can see the typing coming in. Okay, awesome. Stay curious. Absolutely. If you get nothing from my session today, if you get nothing, stay in a lane of curiosity and you will be good. Establish trust. Yes, all the tips that we talked before in the positive and the affirmative. Be vulnerable, asking questions. Try to meet them where they are. Yes, understand their experiences, tailor your style to each employee. Best practice. Be familiar with people from all groups and demographics. Again, ask the questions, establish trust. Be patient. There's no magic wand for management leadership. I wish there was. My maiden name was Potter. If I had Harry's wand, life would be good. We don't have it. So be patient with yourself, be patient with others, be respectful. Their experiences are not good, bad, or better. They're just different. Know how other generations are different. Explore them. What were their experiences? How is it different? Again, ask questions and try to relate. Try to find that common ground. I do activities where I ask people, and I could do it on the session. Let's try to find something that we all have in common that we can't see here. And, it usually takes about 20 or 30 seconds and we can find something that we all have in common. So find something to connect with. Other tips I have for you is, just like our friend said, I was trying to find her name that said curiosity, is Maggie, thank you, is curiosity, no assumptions. It's so easy to pattern map to a story cycle. And I've seen it my whole career. Managers come to my office as a human resources business partner and they tell me a story and they're making assumptions, and they're making assumptions based on very little data. I ask open-ended questions to explain the perspective, and it's just this big. And they're biased based on a recency effect. They're biased because of something they didn't like. And we expand the perspective and get curious. Really important. We need to, a lot of you talked about flexing communication style, and really important. I prefer email. I don't like Slack personally. I don't love Teams, and I love a phone call because it's probably my generation. That's how I work best. But when I work with somebody that they work best for text for some reason, we need to meet them where they are. I did employee engagement work with a sales team in Baltimore. The manager always wanted the sales reps to call him. The sales reps got really frustrated. Do you know why? Because they were medical device sales reps that were often in the operating room and can't make calls. So, to help with employee engagement, they created new norms and expectations for checking in via text. And if the manager texted, "Can you talk now?" the rep would say yay or nay. And then if nay, they would exchange via text because it worked for their environment and perhaps maybe some generational differences. But we can make an assumption that it has to do with generations, but in this case, it's where they worked. So, flex your communication style. Even if I hate Slack, I might need to meet people where they are or co-create a new path that works for everyone. Focus on shared values, not different labels. What do you think I mean by that? This is the interactive portion. Elaborate on how to.
Dawn, you actually have a question in chat.
Yeah, please, on how to identify operations. Jung, could you come in and tell me more about this question to make sure I can answer it well?
I think that's actually,
I'll give her a second.
I'm about faculty member, I think it's out.
I'll try to answer it if she or he wants to come on. Elaborate on how to identify opportunities for creating collaboration is I would have a conversation with my employees as a team or individuals. And even if you've worked with them for a while, hey, let's take a pause and make sure, oh, your mic's not working, no problem. Make sure that we have clear communication strategies and how best are we communicating? We again make assumptions. So one of my favorite techniques, I'm looking at time, is to say on a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you think we're collaborating? 5, awesome, great. 2, what else can we do to improve this? What could make it a 3? Your people that work with numbers, a scale is really helpful in these cases. What are ways that we could collaborate? What tools are you familiar with that you found effective in previous jobs or in this job that could help you? Focus on shared values. So find the commonalities and the shared values. Find the purpose, find things that are universal. I hope that answered your question. If you want to add more, I can try to clarify for you. Customize motivation, don't standardize it. Again, that's this idea of what drives different people. We are truly unique beings. We need to find out what matters to each person and find opportunities for cross collaboration, connection. There was a movie with Anne Hathaway, and I forget what it was, but it was an retired person, I don't remember who it was, but came to work with her. And so they were sharing and learning cross generations. So sometimes it's helpful to put people in pairs. Intern, thank you, Maggie. Yeah. So that was a movie. So put people together. I think sometimes the best way to build a team, is to build a team, is to put them together with a shared goal. Put 2 people together with a shared goal. Create the team, 2 people, shared goal. That's how you build a team. Some people try to do all these crazy activities, which I think are fun. But when you give people a shared goal, work together, they can bring 2 different lenses and experiences together. What I will tell you is ageism is real and people do litigate. I worked for a company where people were poking fun at somebody that was older than me, and they made jokes and the guy never said a thing about it. But he did sue. And it's disruptive to the employees when you have to do a bunch of depositions, disruptive to the management. And we can't assume just because somebody didn't say anything that they're comfortable with it. So be very mindful about the words you choose. I could have put that on here too, is be very mindful about the words you choose and the jokes you make, because people may not say that they're uncomfortable. And again, lead individuals, not labels. Moving on, managing up. We have a lot to cover, so I could spend a whole day on all these topics. Managing up. So we need to do one or more of those little check-ins, making sure everybody is still here, not a bot. So Vanessa's going to hit you up with that poll. And I'll get ready. I was going to pull out one of my kids' books, but I'm going to tell you a story. As you're doing the poll, oh, poll's complete. Nice work, everybody. This is a story. I'm about 35 years old at the time. Mid-career hire, super driven, takes my work very seriously, proud, was working in human resources, found that there were 5 guys in an office that were paid below market, below minimum, really doing a great job, as evidenced from the general manager, and retention risks. It was my job as an HR business partner to manage pay in my territory and engagement and a lot of other things. In working with the general manager, we decided to do an off-cycle increase of $1 an hour. My math people can tell me that's $2,080 a year per person, times 5, you're over 10K a year. I had signing authority, was the right thing to do, felt really good about it. But we work in organizations where we need second level approval. Anybody work on an organization that needs second level approval? Maybe not. So I go to my boss, Mike, and I go in and I tell him about this. You know what Mike said? He said no. Like, what the heck in my head? And I could not believe it. I was like, it's my responsibility. It's my job. You don't trust me, Mike. It's about Mike. He sucks. He's horrible. Again, make your hire. Left a job with 4 weeks vacation and a great salary to come to this company. What was I thinking? I'm doubting myself. I am doubting myself. I did what any well-adjusted NC State alumni would do. I drank on it. Just kidding. I did not do that. I'm just kidding. Just a little joke. I went for a run on it and I was like, okay, I'm running. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't give up because we also don't give up from NC State. Not the drinking part. We don't give up. Remember Jimmy V? Never give up. So I don't give up. Go back to Mike the next morning. Hey, Mike, what do you think? Put it in a spreadsheet because I put it in a spreadsheet, pass it over. Mike says to me, why didn't you say this yesterday? In my head, new employee, I'm like, okay, jerk. I did. You clearly were not listening and I don't like you, but I'm going to get it to payroll to process. So next thing I know, a couple months later, I find out that Mike's #1 strength is analytical and that he is a guy that is just show him the data. Proof, data, logic was this guy's language. What I did not know at the time was that. And so I went into Mike, not with the numbers I shared to you. I went in with the story, lots of words. It's the right thing to do. Lots of noise. Mike didn't hear it. He needs the facts and the data. Why on earth would I share this program? Why this story? Can anybody tell me?
Can you repeat your question? Sorry.
Why did I want to tell you that story? Was there a nugget from it that I wanted you to take?
Can't communicate with everybody the same way.
You can't communicate. Thank you. I don't know who said I can't see the audio, but thank you for saying that. You can't communicate with everybody the same way. And it's not just incumbent on the manager to customize. It's important for the employee, the individual contributor. We have both of you on the call to know who you're talking to and how they show up. And don't, again, make everyone is different, maybe by age, maybe by experience, life experience, live and learn, talents. Everybody's different. So we need to understand who we're talking to. And again, don't make assumptions. In my head, I'm not kidding. I was like, I need to quit. I felt horrible. Mike did nothing wrong. When you're managing up, you need to know who you're talking to. Hit me up with some of your favorite tips for managing up. You need to know who you're talking to and how they like to receive information best. When you know that, you can compel a story and get what you need done faster. Know your audience. Facts and data matter. Cut to the chase. Especially for people that work in the accounting and finance space. Let people know if you are like Mike and you are a data logic person, tell them, hey, you know, what really works for me is you said a lot of stuff and I'm really not seeing it here. Could you come back with a little bit more of the backstory in terms of numbers? And that would really help me kind of say yes or approve what you're doing, especially if people come to accounting, people looking for approval, is you could say it's not no, it's yes if we can justify the expense. Yes, if there's a return on the investment. Yes, if. That's one of my favorite strategies is it's not no because, it's yes if. And so facts and data matter, know your audience, knowledge base of the person. And sometimes we wouldn't know that. And so just check yourself. Like I said earlier, go for a run, don't drink. I'm just kidding about that. Go for a run, think about it, channel Jimmy V, don't give up. And then again, know your boss's goals, align with them. And we sometimes think, wait, why do I? No, your whole job is to support him or her. It's to advance the goals of the function and help them achieve their goals. Communicate in their preferred style. Bring solutions, not problems. You'll hear this over and over again. I can't tell you how many managers I've worked with. Bring me solutions, not problems. They don't want what they metaphorically talk about as a monkey on your back and give in to you. They want you to figure out the solution and want your support. Manage expectations clearly and early. The earlier you can align on expectations, the better you are. And then you can manage to that goal and that expectation. Protect their time and yours. One of the best bosses I had always told me, you are the most respectful of my time than anybody I know. Respect their time. Know when they're at their best and when they're best to talk to. I had a vice president I knew came in mornings early. If I wanted a fresh perspective and a decision made, I would meet her in the morning. Get to know, make their life easier. Managing up isn't about you, it is about them. And one thing I meant to say about hybrid work is that with hybrid work, we all want flexibility and we now have opportunities for it. We also need to know what's right for the business. I was working with a pharmaceutical company in the park, and there was a woman that was aspiring to be on the leadership team. And the feedback she was given was she needed to be in office more. And she was very resistant to it. She said, I can get everything done at home. I don't need to come into the office. And what she wasn't understanding is she could get the doing of her job, but not the essence of being on the leadership team. It was a manufacturing site. So sometimes we have to not only look at our flexibility, but how easy is it to interact with others? Not just take our selfish approach. We have to look at how are we advancing as a team and what is best for the team at certain times. And again, co-create, contract on it. Protect your time and theirs. Managing up's not optional, it's essential. And some people are like, I shouldn't have to manage up, they should manage me. Not if you're a team. So think less about managing up and think about collaboration. Common themes for today. I'd love for you to hit me up on chat and tell me what you're hearing or some of the things that I said on repeat as we're wrapping up. What are some of the themes I said on repeat? Communicate and listen. Thank you, Kathy. Stay curious and collaborate. Awesome. Communication is key. Know your audience. Sometimes we have to slow down and do this work. We're all very busy, and this is important. It's as important as closing the books. Know your audience. Awesome. Some common thoughts I had were consciousness is be clear. Don't let yourself make up a story. Know your audience. Check yourself on this consciousness. Watch out for bias. Be curious. Communicate early and often. Collaborate. Yes, thanks. Got my C's. Joel, you caught me. Nice work. When you look at employee engagement, this was a bonus slide I put in last night, was employee engagement is a leading indicator of business performance. Leading indicator. A lot of times we look at financial results as a lagging indicator. It's the results are the results. If you want to project forward, look at employee engagement, look at your connections with your employees, how that's going on a scale of 1 through 5. How are we doing with employee engagement? How are you feeling about your flexibility at work? 1 to 5, what can we do to improve it? Get them involved in making the decision because it will signal business performance. Love for you to take away one action or insight from the program. And I'd love you to go to chat and tell me what are some actions or insights you might take from this program. And then I'll answer questions. We have 3 minutes. I know we did this over lunch and I talk really fast. I really care. What questions do you have? Engage. Good, Scott. What are some things you can do? What's insight? Engage. I guess we got communicate. Know who you're talking to. What are some actions or insights you got? Be intentional. Thanks, Blair. Listen. Yes. Slow down. Engage. Nice. What else? Ask a lot of questions. And just say like, hey, let's, like I did with the question earlier, make sure I understand where you're coming from. Stay curious, be flexible. Yeah. And it may not be something you're comfortable with, like my husband with young engineers working, but what are you comfortable with? And what could we try? Alignment. Yep. Awesome. So your technical skills might have got you where you are. Your people skills will take you further. The skills that slow down, collaborate, communicate, and be curious, these will take you far, especially when you work in finance and you might be like Mike and you say, I don't see it. No, I'm not approving it. Well, what if you got curious? Tell me more. You may be talking in a different language here. I talk in facts and data. Can you help me run the numbers on this or show me more? And then if you want to join my pack, here's my little QR codes to slow down and listen. Thanks for that alignment. Questions? I really appreciate, first of all, coming on video, coming to the session and participating on chat.